All right, let's talk more about this tragic event. We're being joined by our correspondent Susan Teherani from New York and Lester Munson, who's a senior fellow, National Security Institute, joining us from Washington, D.C. Lester Munson and Susan Teherani, good to see you. Susan, I'll start with you. The police did indicate that they will give a briefing at 11 a.m. Local time. I don't know if they've given the latest briefing on the suspect and what was found in the suspect's vehicle.
So the briefing is 11 a.m. local time, as you mentioned. That would be 12 p.m. here East Coast time. So we still have a little bit time left for that. I just want to say that the reason President-elect Donald Trump made those comments was that authorities are saying that the truck and possibly the weapon that was used by the perpetrator of this terrorist attack crossed the Eagle Pass, Texas border 2 days ago. We don't know who drove that truck across Eagle Pass, Texas, but we do know that the truck and the license plate has been identified as being the same one. Also, as you mentioned, we're learning about the security apparatus around Bourbon Street. There were barricades. However, questions now remain on what kind of barricades were around Bourbon Street. And I think in the hours to come, we're going to learn more about the security apparatus of Bourbon Street when this horrific incident happened.
Susan, very quickly, has the suspect been identified or mentioned by the police?
We don't know the identity of the suspect. As I mentioned, what we do know at the latest is that this truck that he used to ram through the crowd passed Eagle Pass, Texas 2 days ago from the U.S. southern border into the United States.
All right, Susan Teherani, stay with me. Lester Munson is a senior fellow at National Security Institute. He's in Washington, D.C. Mr. Lester Munson, this is a tragic event happening in Louisiana County, or Louisiana State, I beg your pardon. And there have been various issues. Let's first talk about the investigating agencies. We are talking about the FBI. The mayor said that this is an act of terror, but the FBI was quickly to say that no, this is not an act of terror, but now they've confirmed that they're investigating or they're probing the incident as an act of terror. What's happening in the United States when it comes to security agencies?
Yeah, well, that's a totally fair question. I think we should point out that this incident only happened 9 hours ago. It was at 3 o'clock in the morning in New Orleans, which is a city that stays up late to celebrate events like New Year's Eve. It's a terrible tragedy that has happened. I think everyone's prayers go out to the families who have been impacted by this. But it's a totally fair question to ask. Why the FBI initially said this was not a terror attack. Do they know something that they're not telling us? They do appear to have changed their minds. It certainly seems to have characteristics of a terrorist attack. We don't know, of course, and people should withhold judgment until we have more facts. But it certainly seems like that is a possibility that needs to be actively considered immediately.
Mr. Munson, the suspect used a truck as a weapon, and this is an ongoing trend. We've seen this trend from late last year, and now the new year has started off with this ongoing trend. What do you think is stoking, suspects like that man to use trucks or use vehicles as a weapon?
Well, it's a very good question. Is it connected to the event that happened in Germany just a few weeks ago at a Christmas market where several people were killed in a similar fashion? We don't know who the perpetrator is. We don't know what his motives were for carrying out this attack. It is clear that folks who are of a mind to kill people are targeting large groups of people where they can access them with a vehicle. This has happened in multiple countries now. So public authorities need to be more cautious when there are large gatherings. Are the barriers appropriate for the situation? There's going to be questions about New Orleans and the structures that were supposed to be there to prevent something like this from happening. What was their status? Were they being reconfigured in some way? Who had decision authority over that? So I'm sure that will be examined. But this is notably this suspect, this now dead suspect, not only used a car, but also opened fire with some sort of weapon after he got out of the vehicle. So this is an attack that has many different aspects. There may have been an explosive device in his vehicle. There are reports to that end as well. So I think, again, too early to draw a lot of conclusions, but there are a lot of questions. We need some answers, particularly about who the perpetrator is specifically.
Indeed, we need the answers. Lester Munson, finally, we just had a post from Donald Trump. He's linking this or connecting this to the issue of immigration. What do you make of his statement where he says that these are criminals and, like I said before, we have to get rid of these criminals, and he's with the people of Louisiana?
Well, I suppose that could be correct. There are reports that the truck came over the border from Mexico just a couple of days ago in Texas. The vehicle appears to have Texas license plates on it. So I think, again, it's a little premature to say exactly why this happened and what the causes are, but we need to be looking at all of these issues: immigration, the identification of the person, his specific identity, his motive. There may have been a flag of some kind on the back of the vehicle. What is that flag? What does it represent? And then trying to do some very objective analysis here without any political blinders on and come to the right conclusion. So it could be very well connected to immigration. It's also possible it's not. But I think folks are going to have to withhold judgment until we know more. But that is certainly a possibility that the president-elect has identified.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Mr. Lester Munson, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.